Our movie today kicks off with a story from the past. We see a host on a television show talking about an actor named Brad, who starts sharing his life story from when he was just a kid. The host mentions that Brad had a lot of followers and fans from all over the world. But as he hit his teenage years, all his fans turned on him because of his looks, and they started bullying him. This led to his show getting canceled, and after that, Brad went from playing villain roles to becoming a real-life villain. Fast forward to the present, and we see an older Brad on a small boat, telling his robot assistant that when he used to play villain roles and enjoyed it, but once he became a real villain, he enjoyed it way more. He steered his boat closer to a massive cargo ship, then jumped into the water and swam super fast, easily reaching the ship. He started attacking the guards on the ship with his chewing gum, and we noticed that the gum was spreading everywhere and growing rapidly. Eventually, he managed to take out all the guards on the ship. Meanwhile, we switched to the organization fighting evil, which was monitoring that ship because it had a really valuable diamond on it, and when the head of the organization, Brad, discovers that he's trying to steal the diamond, so his crew rushes to stop him. Jiro and Lucy jump into their mini-subs and take off fast. Meanwhile, Brad takes out all the guards on the ship, breaks into the safe, grabs the diamond, and makes his escape. At that moment, the gum Brad's been chewing starts expanding, getting so big that it lifts the whole ship into the air. Jiro and Lucy see the ship flying and try to react. Their submarines are for racing, so they can go faster on the water. Just before Brad can escape with the diamond, Lucy helps Gru to get onto the ship. At that moment, Gru starts attacking Brad and manages to knock his gun away. But then Brad takes advantage of Gru being distracted and drops his own weapon too. That's when a fierce fight breaks out between them. Gru manages to land a really strong hit on Brad, knocking him to the ground, and grabs the diamond from him. Gru then calls the head of the organization to send more agents to capture him. But suddenly, Brad wakes up and attacks Gru with his weapon. The guy uses electromagnetic waves to fly his dog far away, and just before it falls off the ship, he manages to catch it. When Brad comes to get the diamond from his dog, the agents show up to arrest him. So, he quickly decides to hit the diamond and makes a run for it. Even though his dog managed to get the diamond back, he was really sad because Brad got away. Later, we see the dog and Lucy after they arrive at the new headquarters, which is this huge airship. There, the head of the organization is holding a meeting with all the clients and staff. Lucy walks in and tells her that Gru managed to get the jewel back, and if he gets fired, she'll be out too. That night, Gru and Lucy head home, and Gru is really upset because he lost his job. When they get home, they're surprised to find the girls throwing a party. At that moment, Gru seizes the opportunity and tells them that he and Lucy got rejected from the organization. The girls are really upset when they hear what happened, and then Gru leaves. The minions are asking about Dr. Nefario, and they tell them that he froze himself in the substance he used in his last experiment, and it's impossible for him to get out of it again. Then, Gru tells the minions that he got fired from the organization and that he can't be evil again. So, he sends the minions off and they leave, except for 2 of them who are running late. Gru tells them he kept them around so they wouldn't leave. Meanwhile, we switch to Paris, specifically the Louvre Museum, where we see a jewelry expert entering the museum. He tells the museum director that he suspects the diamond they've received is fake. So, they took the museum director to where the diamond was located, and when they got there, the expert used a sedative needle to put the director and all the staff to sleep. At that moment, we find out that it's Brad. The next day, we see Gru really upset when he finds out Brad stole the diamond, and he's even more annoyed when he sees Agnes selling her toys. Gru asks her why she's doing that, and Agnes tells him she did it to help him since he's not working anymore. Just then, a strange guy shows up and tries to talk to Gru. He thinks he's come to buy his player, Agnes, so they tie him up in a rocket and send him flying off. But then this strange guy comes back and tells Drew's dog that he's Drew's twin brother's assistant, and that he's there to let him know Drew wants to meet because their dad passed away. They find out Drew lives in a place called Fredonia. At that moment, the dog is totally confused and doesn't believe what he's hearing. Then the assistant shows him a picture of him and Drew when they were kids. The dog takes the picture and goes to show it to his mom, asking if it's really him. So, Garo tells his mom that he actually has a twin brother, and that she and his dad split up a long time ago and agreed that each of them would take one kid and not see each other again. Jero freaks out when he realizes he really has a twin, so he and Lucy, along with the girls and two of the minions, all hop on a plane and jump off to head to Fredonia. When they get there, they're shocked to see a massive number of pigs, and that's when Drew's assistant tells Gero that they have the biggest pig farm in Fredonia. Meanwhile, Lucy and the girls are totally amazed when they see the mansion where Drew lives. Drew sees a dog and realizes it looks just like a puppy, but with thicker fur. Drew is super excited because he finally sees his brother, the puppy. He asks Lucy to take the girls and go with his assistant because he has a surprise for them. Once they leave, Drew takes the puppy to a secret hideout. In that hideout, the puppy sees statues of his family, who all look just like him. That's when Drew tells his brother that the pig farm is just a cover for their real business. He opens a secret door that leads them to another place, filled with a ton of high-tech weapons. When the puppy asks Drew about this place, Drew tells him it's the headquarters. Their secret about their dad is that they know he was the greatest villain of all time. And Gro is thrilled when he learns from Drew that his dad was really proud of him and kept up with all the news about the crimes he committed back in the day. Drew goes on to say that his dad didn't love him because he was a failure and couldn't pull off any successful crimes or heists in his life. That's why Drew asks Gro to teach him how to be a successful villain like him, but Gro refuses, saying he gave up the life of crime after adopting the girls. Drew keeps trying to convince him more and shows him their dad's car. After that, Drew goes and steals some candy from a kid's truck, and that's when the cops start chasing them. So, a group takes off in the truck, speeding through the city streets, trying to maneuver and dig into the ground, managing to escape the police. They drive into the water, and he jumps in and takes off. Then we go to Lucy and the girls, and we see them checking out the city. Meanwhile, Agnes spots a store with a painting of a unicorn on it. She goes to ask the shop owner about where to find a real unicorn, and he tells her it's in the forest, but that it's just a fantasy creature that doesn't actually exist. Still, Agnes is determined to find one, so she decides to head to the forest. Meanwhile, Lucy arrives at the shop and takes down all the criminals inside, rescuing Agnes and the other girls. On another note, we see the minions wandering the streets looking like they've become homeless and starving. While they're walking, they spot a motorcycle. A piece of pizza is drawn on it, so the minions chase after it until they reach a filming location where they end up crashing a talent show. Unfortunately, the police show up and arrest all the minions. Then we go back to Gru, who's begging them to just steal one thing together, insisting there's definitely something he wants to steal. So they go ahead and steal the world's most expensive diamond. Gru is super excited because he finally gets to steal something important. Meanwhile, we see Brat deciding to use the diamond he stole to turn into a huge monster so he can destroy Hollywood. So, the ones who got locked up for crashing the talent show realize that the minions have taken over the entire prison. We see them beating up all the inmates and taking all their cash, jewelry, and toys. But after a while, they start to remember Gru and realize he was the one who really cared about them and treated them well. So, they decide to go back to him. They end up stealing toilets, washing machines, and all the fans to build a plane to break out of prison, and they actually pull it off. Then, we switch back to Gru and Drew, where we see them planning a heist. The diamond is from Brat, and at that moment, Drew is really impressed when he sees his dad's suit, which we find out was used for the robberies he pulled off. Drew starts putting on the black suit while his brother Drew wears the white suit. They both hop in the car and head out. Meanwhile, Lucy spots them and realizes they're off to steal something. On the way, Drew looks super happy because he's finally going to steal the most expensive diamond in the world. This is totally different from Drew, who imagines himself returning the diamond to the crime-fighting organization, thinking that will get him and Lucy back to work. After a bit, Drew and Drew arrive at Brat's place. Jaro asks Drew to wait for him in the car while he goes to steal the diamond and come back. But Drew doesn't listen and follows him. Just before he gets to Jaro, a bunch of missiles show up and start causing chaos. At that point, Jaro tells Drew to activate the suit's stealth mode, and sure enough, Drew manages to trick the missiles. Jaro then helps Drew, and they both sneak in through a ventilation shaft. Once inside the base, they're shocked to see Brat talking about the giant robot he built to destroy Hollywood. Meanwhile, Drew grabs a piece of gum that starts growing really fast, so Jaro rushes over to help him out. Brad senses their presence and starts to attack them. Right before he kills them, he takes advantage of the puppy that Drew was feeding, throws it at him, and pins him against the wall. Then he quickly grabs the jewel and runs off. He orders the little robot he made to chase after them, and it actually starts pursuing Drew and the puppy. They manage to escape, but when they both exit Brad's hideout, they are shocked to find themselves about to fall onto some really sharp metal. Suddenly, Lucy shows up at the last moment, swoops in, and takes him in her plane, dodging all of Brad's missiles. When Drew finds out, Jero is planning to return the diamond to the evil organization, and he gets really annoyed. After they get home, Drew tries to take the diamond from Jaro, but Jaro refuses and calls him stupid and a failure, saying he almost ruined their plan. Drew gets really upset when he hears that. Then Jero goes to see Agnes, who is playing with a unicorn. She tells him she found it in the forest, but he points out that it's not a unicorn, it's just a goat with a broken horn. She insists it's the best goat in the world. Meanwhile, Lucy goes to Jero and takes the jewel from him. He asks him to grab the bags, and the girls take off to board the plane. As soon as the plane door closes, we realize that Brad is disguised as Lucy, and he's the one who managed to steal the diamond. It hits me that Gru went to get the bags and is shocked to find Lucy tied up in the closet. He figures out that Brad stole the diamond and kidnapped the girls. So Gru and Lucy rush to Drew for help. Even though Drew is annoyed with Gru, he agrees to help them save the girls, which makes Gru apologize for what he said. They see a group of people all going after him, and on the other side, we see Brad starting to destroy Hollywood using his giant robot and the rapidly growing candy. After a bit, the dog and his crew reach Hollywood, and they're shocked to find out that Brad left the girls on top of a tall building. So, they rush over to the candy and manage to save them just before they fall off the tower. Meanwhile, the dog and Drew start attacking Brad with the weapons from their car, and they actually manage to take down his giant robot. But Brad gets back up and starts attacking them with toys. The little one who can destroy the car, Jero, and Drew realize they need to jump out before it blows up. Unfortunately, Jero falls to the ground and passes out, unlike Drew, who uses his suit and records Brat's giant. Just before Brat can kill Jaro with his laser beam, Drew manages to disable the machine and saves Jaro at the last moment. When Jaro wakes up, he sees that the machine is completely destroyed, so he runs fast to save Drew. But then he discovers that Brat is still alive and hasn't died, leading to an intense battle between them. Luckily, Jero manages to grab Brat's weapon and starts attacking him with electromagnetic waves. In the end, the brothers team up and manage to save the area. They all head back home with the minions, and there, the puppy asks Gru not to try to be evil anymore since he's back working for an anti-villain organization. After a while, we see Gru gathering the minions and taking them all on a plane, starting his journey to become the world's most dangerous villain. Don't forget to give us a like. Subscribe to the StoryNest channel on YouTube. And that's it. Bye!